How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, May 20th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Thursday, May 19th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the NBA season, there are 4 teams left, as the Eastern Conference Finals has just finished Game 2, but the Western Conference Finals Game 2 is set for today. In the NHL, there are still 8 teams that are left competing for the Stanley Cup Final, as of course a couple of Game 2s were played yesterday, as of course a couple more will be played today, just to give a sense of what's going on in that league. Looking at what's going on in the MLB, of course, we're still in about the second month of quite a long season as teams are starting to sort themselves out. And of course, looking at what's going on with soccer, we are about to enter what could be one of the last seasons of the domestic league for the 4 remaining teams in Europe that aren't Germany, because Germany's season's already over. England, Spain, France, and Italy's seasons are almost done. And of course, taking a look at what's going on with the NBA first before we leave the U.S., the only game that happened last night was Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals as the 1-seed Miami Heat hosted the 2-seed Boston Celtics. Coming into this matchup, the Heat led the series 1-0 after they had won Game 1 by 11. The Celtics would go on to even up the series after beating the Heat 127-102. They won this game by 25 in Miami after taking a 25-point lead in the first half. They outscored the Heat by 11 in the first quarter and by 14 in the second. On the losing end of this matchup, the top seed in the East, Miami Heat, were led in scoring this game by their elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, out of Marquette. He finished with 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 11 for 18 from the field. He would shoot 1 for 3 from 3 and 6 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, Gabe Vincent, finished with 14 points in 24 minutes. He shot 5 for 10 from the field and 4 for 8 from 3. Their shooting guard off the bench, Victor Oladipo, finished with 14 points in 26 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, Tyler Hero, finished with 11 points in 24 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the second seed Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Jason Tatum. He finished with 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 7 from the foul line. They will get a double-double from this year's NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, out of Oklahoma State. He finished with 24 points, 9 rebounds, 12 assists, and 3 steals in 40 minutes. He shot 8 for 22 from the field, 5 for 12 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, finished with 24 points and 8 rebounds in 33 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he made both of his free throws. The Celtics power forward off the bench, Grant Williams, finished with 19 points and 5 fouls in 32 minutes. Their starting center, Al Horford, out of Florida, finished with 10 points in 33 minutes as he shot a perfect 4 for 4 from the field. Their point guard off the bench, Peyton Pritchard, finished with 10 points in 23 minutes. And of course, with this win, the Boston Celtics are now they've tied the series up at 1 as games 3 and 4 will be played in Boston. From here on out, it is a best of 5 series as both teams have to win 3 of their next 5 if they want to go to the NBA Finals. Game 3 is going to be set in Boston tomorrow. That game's going to be on ABC, as of course 3 teams need to lose 3 times in order to be eliminated from the playoffs from here on out. Taking a look at what's going on today in the NBA, today should be Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. As of right now, the Warriors are leading this series 1-0 after they were able to win their very first game at home by 25 over the Mavericks. They are 3 wins away from making it to the finals as the Mavericks have to win 4 of their next 6. Of course, the Mavericks are looking to get a win to even up this series before they go back to Dallas, and the Warriors are, of course, trying to prevent the Mavericks from evening it up. So this game, of course, has a lot of weight on it. So that's what's going on with the NBA as there are 4 teams left. Taking a look at the NHL where there are 8 teams competing for the Stanley Cup. Jumping to Sunrise, Florida. The Florida Panthers hosted the 3 seed in the Atlantic Division, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. And coming into the series, the Lightning led this series 1-0 after they had won game 1 by 3 goals. They would win game 2 in Florida, or I guess where the Florida Panthers played. They won it 2-1 after Florida tied it up at 2 in the second period. It would be Ross Colton's third period goal in the last seconds to give Tampa Bay Lightning the win, as they will go to Tampa with a 2-0 lead, looking to possibly even sweep the series at home. Game 3 is set for the 22nd, which is Sunday. That it's going to be on TNT. With this win, the Lightning are 2 wins away from making it to the Western Conference Finals. And of course, on the opposite side, the Panthers have to win 4 of their next 5 games or they could be eliminated. They lose 2 more games, they're out. The winner of this series will go on to face off against the winner of the Metropolitan Division Finals between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers, as Carolina leads that series 1-0. Taking a look at the second game that took place yesterday, it took place in Denver. The Colorado Avalanche, the top team in the Central, hosted the 3-seed St. Louis Blues. The Avalanche came into this series holding a 1-0 lead, and then the Blues would even it up at 1 after beating the Avalanche 4-1, and they would go on to give the Avalanche their first loss in the playoffs this year after the Avalanche swept the Nashville Predators in the first round. In this matchup, the Avalanche would not even get a chance to score. They scored after the Blues scored 2, and this would be early in the third period. And even after that, the Blues would score 2 after that. So they were just sandwiched in between the two different two-goal barrages by the Blues. The top star of this game went to St. Louis's left winger David Perron, as he had 2 goals. The goalie for the team, Jordan Binnington, would finish with 30 saves, as he had the second star of the game. Gabriel Landeskog would pick up the left winger for Colorado, who had their only goal, would have the third star of the game. With this win for the Blues, it is now a best-of-5 series after game 1, as both teams have to win 3 of the next 5 games if they want to advance to the Western Conference Finals. The winner of this matchup will face off against the winner of the Pacific Division Final between the top seed Calgary Flames and the 2 seed Edmonton Oilers. So that's what's going on there. Taking a look at what's going on with playoff hockey today, because, of course, today is Friday. Many people are going to be looking forward to these 2 games, as we have the other 2 game 2s for this round. At 8 o'clock on ESPN in Raleigh, North Carolina, in the Metropolitan Division Final, the Metropolitan Divisional Series, the Carolina Hurricanes, the 1 seed out of that division, are going to host the 2 seed New York Rangers. As of right now, Carolina leads this series 1-0 after they won game 1 in overtime. And of course, the winner of this matchup will face off against the winner between the Lightning and the Panthers, as the Lightning lead that series 2-0. Looking at the second game happening today at 10:30 on ESPN, it should be game 2 of the Pacific Division Series, as the 1 seed Calgary Flames host the 2 seed Edmonton Oilers from that division. As of now, the Calgary Flames hold a 1-0 lead after they beat the Oilers 9-6 in game 1. A win here would put the Flames 2 wins away from the Western Conference Finals, as a win from the Oilers would put them 3 wins away. Taking a look at what's going on with baseball right now, as yesterday was more of a travel day. Starting off in Baltimore, the Orioles hosted the New York Yankees. The Yankees would tie the game up at 6 going into the top of the 9th, and the Orioles would win the game off of a 3-run walk-off home run from Anthony Santander to beat the Yankees 9-6 and to give the Yankees their 10th loss of the season. On the losing end of this matchup, the New York Yankees were led out by their starting pitcher for the day, Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery allowed 3 earned runs off of 7 hits in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 3 batters. The loss would go to the Yankees closer, Lucas Lutka. Lutka would go on to allow 3 runs off of 2 hits, as he would get pulled. He would not even make it through the 9th inning. He would strike out a batter, and with this loss, he's 1-1 after he gave up the walk-off home run. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite third baseman, DJ LeMahieu, went 2 for 5 with an RBI. Their first baseman, Anthony Rizzo, went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their elite designated hitter, Giancarlo Stanton, went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. Stanton hit his 11th home run of the season yesterday. And then the Yankee shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Baltimore Orioles would go on and see the start go to Bruce Zimmerman. Bruce Zimmerman allowed 5 earned runs off of 5 hits, as he did runs off of 7 hits in 5 innings pitched. Zimmerman would strike out 2 batters and walk 1. The win for the Orioles yesterday went to their closer, Felix Bautista. Bautista allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 9th inning. He would even walk a batter still. But with this win, he's now 1-1. In the Orioles batting lineup, their first baseman Trey Mancini, the reigning AL Comeback Player of the Year, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their right fielder Anthony Santander went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs as he hit a couple of doubles in his 7th home run of the season. The Orioles' third baseman in this matchup, Tyler Nevin, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. And with this win, the Baltimore Orioles are 15-24. That is the worst record in the American League East. And looking at where they sit in the American League, only the Royals and the Tigers have worse records in the AL. The Orioles have won 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 13.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. With this loss, the Yankees are 28-10. That is the best record in the American League, and overall, it is still the best record in baseball, as they're still the only team who's won at least 70% of their games so far. They've only lost 2 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 5 games ahead of the second-place Tampa Bay Rays in their division. And taking a look at what happened in Philadelphia, not that far away, the Phillies hosted the San Diego Padres. The Padres would shut the Phillies out 2-0, holding the Phillies to 8 hits as a team. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Philadelphia Phillies saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson will go on to allow 2 earned runs off of 8 hits in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 7 batters. With this loss, Kyle Gibson is 3-2. In the Phillies batting lineup, their first baseman, Rhys Hoskins, went 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Diego Padres saw the win go to their elite starting pitcher, Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish allowed no earned runs and only 6 hits in 7 innings pitched. He struck out 5 batters, and with this win, he's now 4-1 on the year. In the Padres batting lineup, their closer, Taylor Rogers, would pick up save number 15. He would start in the 8th inning and go all the way through the end of the game, as he would pitch 1.1 inning. He would not allow a run, but he would allow a hit. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 1. With this save, Taylor Rogers has 15 on the year. In the Padres batting lineup, their only player with more than 1 hit was their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, as he went 2 for 5. With this win, the San Diego Padres are 24-14. That is the second best record in the National League West. They are tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for the third best record in the National League as a whole. The Padres have won 6 of their last 10 games. They are sitting a game and a half behind the division-leading LA Dodgers at this moment. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are 18-20. That is the second best record in the National League East, as they've lost 4 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 7 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in Cleveland, the Guardians hosted the Cincinnati Reds, the Major League's worst team record-wise. The Reds would end up beating the Guardians 4-2, thanks to a 3-run 8th inning that would see them break their 1-1 tie. They broke the tie off of a Kyle Farmer single, and the difference in this game would be a sacrifice bunt to give them their 3rd run from Albert Almora Jr. And on the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Cleveland Guardians would be led out by Cal Quantrill. Quantrill allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits in 7 innings pitched. He would strike out 5 batters. The loss would end up going to the Guardians' first relief pitcher, Trevor Stephan. Stephan allowed 3 runs off of 3 hits as he would get pulled in the 8th inning, not even making it all the way through. With this loss, he's 2-1. In the Guardians' batting lineup, nobody on their team finished with more than 1 hit. That will be attributed to great pitching from the Reds. On the winning end of this matchup, the Reds were led out by their starting pitcher, Tyler Mahle. Mahle allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits in 6.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 2. The win for the Reds would go to their first relief pitcher, Luis Cessa. Cessa allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 7th inning. With this win, he's now 2-0. The save for the Reds would go to their closer for the day, Tony Santillan. Santillan allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 8th inning and pitched the entire 9th. He would strike out a batter, and as he picked up his 2nd save of the year. In the Reds batting lineup, their designated hitter, Tyler Naquin, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the year. Their first baseman, Colin Moran, would end up going 2 for 3. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are 11-26. That is the worst record in the National League Central. They've won their last 2 games and they've won 7 of their last 10. Alas, they are the only team who's lost more than 70% of their games this year. They are sitting 12 and a half games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers at this point in the season. With this loss, the Cleveland Guardians are 16 and 19. That is the third best record in the American League Central. They've now lost their last 3 games. Their 3-game losing streak is tied with the Los Angeles Angels for the longest active losing streak in the American League and in the major leagues, as for that matter. The Guardians have lost 6 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this, or I guess following this, jumping out to Queens, the New York Mets hosted the St. Louis Cardinals. And in what would be yet another nail-biter, this game would go into extra innings after the Cardinals would tie the game up at 5 in the 9th inning. The Cardinals scored the first run in the top of the 10th off of an RBI, or off of a double play grounded into by Albert Pujols. At the bottom of the 10th, the New York Mets would win it off of a walk-off 2-run home run from their former Rookie of the Year, Pete Alonso, their elite infielder. On the losing end of this matchup, the St. Louis Cardinals would see the start go to Dakota Hudson. Dakota Hudson would allow 4 earned runs off of 5 hits and 4.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 2. The loss for the Cardinals yesterday went to their closer, Giovanni Gallegos. Gallegos allowed 2 runs after not even registering an out in the 10th inning. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their shortstop in this matchup, Brendan Donovan, would go 2 for 4. Their elite designated hitter, Paul Goldschmidt, went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the year. Their left fielder for the day, Juan Yepez, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. Their center fielder, Harrison Bader, would go 3 for 5 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Mets would be led out by their starting pitcher for the day, Chris Bassett. Bassett allowed 4 earned runs off of 9 hits in 6.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 1. The win would end up going to the Mets closer for the day, as their closer and the winner for the Mets would end up being Colin Holderman. Holderman allowed 1 run in the 10th inning. With this win, he's now 1-0. In the Mets batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Francisco Lindor, went 2 for 3 with 3 runs. Their elite first baseman, Pete Alonso, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run, as his walk-off home run was his 10th of the season. The Mets' second baseman, Luis Guillorme, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the New York Mets are 26 and 14. That is the best record in the National League East and the second best record in the National League behind the LA Dodgers. The Mets have won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 7 games ahead of the second-place Philadelphia Phillies in their own division. And with this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are 20 and 18. That is the second best record in the National League Central. And they are currently holding on to the 6th best record in the National League. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They are now sitting 4 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers at this point in the year. Taking a look at what happened on the other side of the state, the Kansas City Royals hosted the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox would end up beating the Royals 7-4 after the Royals held a 4-1 lead at the end of the 3rd quarter. The White Sox would score 6 unanswered. They tied it up with a Luis Robert single in the 6th and took the lead off of an Adam Engel single in the 7th. On the losing end of this matchup, in which the Royals lost 7-4, they would be led out by their starting pitcher, Carlos Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez would allow 3 earned runs off of 5 hits and 3 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 5. The loss for the Royals went to their second relief pitcher on the day, Gabe Spire. He allowed 1 earned run as he would not even make it out of the 7th inning. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Royals batting lineup, their left fielder, Andrew Benintendi, went 2 for 5. Their first baseman, Hunter Dozier, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run, as Hunter Dozier hit his 4th home run of the season. And then their center fielder, Kyle Isbell, would end up going 2 for 3 with a run. Not to mention their second baseman, Nicky Lopez, went 2 for 3 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago White Sox saw the start go to their starting pitcher, Vince Velasquez. Velasquez allowed 4 earned runs off of 6 hits and 5 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 1. The win for the White Sox went to their first relief pitcher, Bennett Sousa. Sousa allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 6th inning, and with this win, he's now 2-0. The save would end up going to the White Sox elite closer, Liam Hendriks. The reigning American League Relief Pitcher of the Year allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in the ninth inning as he struck out a batter. Hendricks picked up his 12th save of the year. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop Tim Anderson ended up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their center fielder Luis Robert went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the season. Their right fielder in this matchup, Andrew Vaughn, ended up going 2 for 4 with a run. And then the White Sox second baseman, Josh Harrison, ended up going 2 for 5 with a run. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are 19-19. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are 14-23. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central as they've lost 5 of their last 10. They are sitting 7.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. Taking a look at what is going on in Fenway, the Boston Red Sox hosted the Seattle Mariners. The Red Sox would end up beating the Mariners 12-6. The Mariners would score the first 4 runs of the game. The Red Sox would tie it up at 4 in the bottom of the third off of Trevor Story's second home run of the game. They would end up taking the lead off of Trevor Story's RBI single as Trevor Story was responsible for the first 5 runs for the Red Sox. And they would pretty much run away with it. As after it was tied at 4, the Red Sox was to have an 8-2 run, of course. But after the Mariners scored the first 4 runs of the game, the Red Sox went on a 12-2 tear to win this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Seattle Mariners would see the loss go to their starting pitcher in this matchup, George Kirby. Kirby allowed 5 earned runs off of 8 hits in the 5 innings he pitched as he struck out 3 batters and walked 1. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Mariners batting lineup, their center fielder Julio Rodriguez ended up going 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. Their third baseman, Eugenio Suarez, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Boston Red Sox would see the start go to Rich Hill. Rich Hill would allow 4 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 1. The win would go to the Red Sox first relief pitcher Tanner Houck. Houck allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit as he pitched 4 innings as a relief pitcher. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 1. With this win, he's now 3-3. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their elite designated hitter J.D. Martinez ended up going 4 for 5 with 3 runs. Their left fielder Alex Verdugo went 3 for 5 with 4 runs. Their elite second baseman Trevor Story would go 4 for 4 with 7 RBIs and 5 runs. He would go on to hit his 3rd, 4th, and 5th home runs of the season yesterday. And of course, with this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 16-22. That is currently the 4th best record in the American League East. They've now won their last 2 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 12 games behind the division leading New York Yankees. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are 17-22. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They have now lost 6 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 8 games behind the division-leading Houston Astros. Taking a look at what happened in Fenway, the Chicago Cubs hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks would end up beating the Cubs 3-1 after scoring all 3 of their runs in the top of the 4th inning, off of a Dalton Varsho home run, a Josh Rojas single, and a David Peralta single. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago Cubs, who were held to 4 hits all game, would see the loss go to their starting pitcher Marcus Stroman. Stroman allowed 3 runs off of 5 hits and 5 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters. With his loss, he's 1-4. In the Cubs batting lineup, their catcher, Yan Gomes, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the Arizona Diamondbacks saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Zach Gallen. Gallen allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits and 5 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 3. With this win, he's now 3-0. The save would end up going to the Diamondbacks closer, Mark Melancon. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. He picked up his 8th save of the year. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their left fielder David Peralta went 2 for 4 with an RBI. He was the only player with a multi-hit game. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 19-21. That is the worst record in the National League West, as they have now won 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 7.5 games behind the NL leading Los Angeles Dodgers at this moment. And with this loss, the Chicago Cubs are 15-22. That is the fourth best record in the National League Central. They have now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 4 of their last 10. They are sitting 8.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers at this point. Last but not least, jumping to Houston to take a look at what happened with the reigning American League champs. The Houston Astros would win this intrastate matchup versus the Texas Rangers 5-1. After the Rangers scored the first run at the top of the first, the Astros would score 5 unanswered, starting in the bottom of the first, taking the lead off of an RBI single from Kyle Tucker. On the losing end of this matchup, the Texas Rangers would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Glenn Otto. Otto only allowed those 2 runs in the first inning. There were 2 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He struck out 2 batters and walked 3. With this loss, Glenn Otto is 1-2. In the Rangers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit, and that would be attributed to great pitching from the Astros. The win for the hometown Astros went to their starting pitcher, Framber Valdez. Valdez allowed 1 earned run off of 6 hits and 7 innings pitched. He struck out 7 batters and walked 2. With this win, he's now 3-2. In the Astros batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, ended up going 4 for 5 with a run. Their first baseman, Aldemus Diaz, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And with this win, the Houston Astros are now 25-14. That is the best record in the American League West, as they've now won 7 of their last 10 games. They are sitting a game and a half ahead of the second place LA Angels within their division. They are holding on to the second best record in the American League, as they only sit behind the New York Yankees. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are 17-20. That is the third best record in the American League West. They have now lost 4 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 7 games behind the division-leading Houston Astros as it stands in their division right now. So with that said, there's a lot going on today, as yesterday was more of a travel day. Taking a look at what's going on in the full slate of Friday games. Starting off at 2:20, the Chicago Cubs are going to host the Arizona Diamondbacks in Wrigley Field. At 6:30 on Apple TV Plus in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates are set to host the St. Louis Cardinals. Adam Wainwright's going to get the start for the Cardinals today, as he's holding a 4-3 record and a 3.15 ERA. At 6:40 at Lone Depot Park, the Miami Marlins are set to host the reigning MLB World Series champs Atlanta Braves. At 7:05 in Yankee Stadium, the hottest team in baseball, the Yankees, are set to host the Chicago White Sox, as the White Sox are led out by former American League Cy Young winner and multiple-time Gold Glove winner Dallas Keuchel. At the same time, at 7:05, Ranger Suarez and the Phillies are set to host Julio Urias and the Dodgers. Urias enters his matchup with a 2-3 record, holding a 3 ERA for this Dodgers team that's leading the NL West. At 7:05 in Oriole Park, Tyler Wells and the Baltimore Orioles are set to host the Tampa Bay Rays. At 7:07 in Rogers Center north of the border, the Toronto Blue Jays, led by their elite starting pitcher out of South Korea, Hyunjin Ryu, are set to host the Cincinnati Reds, as the Reds hold the worst record in baseball. Ryu has yet to pick up a single win or a loss or pick up a decision this year, but his ERA right now is sitting at 9, meaning that he's allowing a run per inning. At 7:10 in Progressive Field in Cleveland, Aaron Savali and the Cleveland Guardians are set to host Tarek Skubal and the Detroit Tigers. Tarek Skubal enters his matchup with a 3-2 record, holding a 2.50 ERA. At the same time, at 7:10 in Fenway, Michael Wacha and the Boston Red Sox are set to host the Seattle Mariners, led by their starting pitcher Robbie Ray, coming off of an American League Cy Young season. Robbie Ray enters his matchup with a 4-3 record, holding a 4.62 ERA. At 8:10 in Kauffman Stadium, the Kansas City Royals are set to host the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins. At 8:10 on Apple TV, the reigning AL champs Houston Astros are set to host the Texas Rangers from within their own state. At 8:10 in American Family Field in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers are set to host the Washington Nationals. And then at 8:40 in Coors Field, German Marquez and the Colorado Rockies are set to host the National League East leading New York Mets. At 9:30 in Angel Stadium, the LA Angels are set to host the Oakland Athletics, as the Angels hold the second best record in the division. And then at 10:15 in Oracle Park, the San Francisco Giants are set to host the San the San Francisco Giants are set to host the San Diego Padres, as both of these teams are pretty close in 2 and 3, as only a game and a half separates them in the National League West division. So that's what baseball's looking like. Taking a look at the soccer day that we just came out of, the big matchup that took place in England saw Chelsea draw with Leicester City 1-1. Going into the final game, Chelsea is holding on to that third spot in the Premier League. They've already clinched a spot in Champions League. And even if Tottenham were to catch them on points, they wouldn't pass them in goal differential. Chelsea right now is sitting comfortably, looking forward to what they have to prepare for this upcoming season. Taking a look at what happened in the German Bundesliga promotion/relegation playoff, the third worst team in the Bundesliga, Hertha Berlin, would end up hosting Hamburg. Hamburg's lone goal in the 57th minute would see Hamburg get moved right back up into the Bundesliga, as their goal came from Ludovic Reis. So now there's 3 teams from the second tier of the Bundesliga that are going to be moved up into the Bundesliga next season. And then, of course, that was actually the first leg of the 2. And then, of course, taking a look at when the second leg of this particular matchup is going to be played, it looks as though game 2 between these two opponents coming forward is going to be set for the 23rd, which is Tuesday, as, of course, it looks as though Hamburg is going to host that matchup as the team that's moving up, and they actually do have an advantage. As of right now, Hertha Berlin is not officially moved down, but they are in danger of it. Taking a look at what's going on today, as of course, we're moving through soccer one day at a time. Starting first in Spain, the current Spanish champs of the year, Real Madrid, they're going to end and finish their season versus Real Betis, the 5th best team in Spain, as I think Real Betis is still trying to compete with Sevilla for that last Champions League spot. But of course, Real Madrid is still going to give it their all for their last and final game, and it's even at home too. It'll be very tough, even though Real Betis definitely has their entire season kind of coming into this game. But with that said, the only big matchup in Italy is between Torino and Roma. And then looking really quickly at where Roma is sitting in Serie A, they're sitting 6th overall as they enter their final game. But that's all I have for you as we move through this world of sports one day at a time. As once this weekend is over, a lot of these domestic leagues should be over, and we should have a pretty good idea of who we're going to see face off in Champions League next year. But with that said, I want to thank everyone once again for I guess all the facts and figures, because of course I couldn't just mutter all these numbers into my phone and be completely confident if I didn't have the stats and figures there. So I do want to thank the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures I need. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 32 minutes of this piece. I know it's a lot, and of course, I do kind of have it designed so you can really kind of skip around, and I do hope all is well. I want to thank everyone for listening, and I'm sorry about the names that I butchered. Once everything is done today, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Saturday, May 21st, but until then, thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more then. Thanks for listening to my piece. Peace out.